Well, thank you everyone for joining us tonight. Sorry about the delay here getting started, but we're excited to have you all here to talk about Piers Park 3 programming with a focus on arts and cultural programming tonight, and excited to have Veronica Robles joining us to co-host this meeting. And before we jump in, I just want to make a few housekeeping notes. We're recording this meeting, so if you don't want to be recorded, you can keep your camera off and stay on mute. And then at the bottom of your Zoom window, you'll see the language option now, the interpretation little globe symbol. We do have a Spanish translator here tonight. So if you can take a moment to select your language channel, either English or Spanish, but please choose one. And that way, folks will be able to come on and speak either language and we can all hear what everyone is saying. So I just want to also take a moment to thank TD Bank for their support to provide that translation that's available tonight through the TD Ready commitment, which is really great. And I'm going to let Gabriella come on and say a few words as well.
Yes, hello everyone, welcome. It's so nice to see so many familiar faces. I'm going to be speaking in Spanish just for translation, so give me a moment. Hola, bienvenidos todos. Muchas gracias por participar, estar acá. Estamos bien emocionados para estar con ustedes y platicar sobre el futuro de Piers Park 3, o como se dice en español, el Parque Azul 3. Gracias a Verónica por tomar su tiempo y estar acá. Va a haber interpretación esta noche. En su pantalla hay un globo que dice Interpretation. Usted puede seleccionar ahí. Vamos a tener en español toda la noche y si tiene alguna pregunta lo puede poner en el chat y lo vamos a hablar en inglés y contestarle también en español. I think we should be all good to go.
Thanks, Gabriella. I also just wanted to acknowledge that we may have some local electeds and reps from their offices joining us tonight, which we really appreciate. So if anyone wants to either say hi in the chat or come off mute and say hello, we're happy to have you do that before we jump in.
Hi, everyone. My name is Gloribel, and I'm here on behalf of Representative Adria Modero. Thank you so much for hosting this conversation. Looking forward to hearing more. Thank you again.
Thanks so much. So we're just going to start tonight with a brief introduction of the trustees and the Piers Park 3 project, just in case there's any folks joining us tonight for the first time who haven't been to any of our previous Piers Park 3 meetings. Just to give you a brief overview, the trustees is the nation's first and Massachusetts' largest preservation and conservation nonprofit. Our mission is to preserve and protect distinctive and dynamic places of exceptional scenic and historic and ecological value for the benefit of the public. And so today, those special places include a wide variety of parks, gardens, working farms, beaches, campgrounds, all sorts of places across the state, 120 properties in total. And while we may be best known for a lot of those properties that are outside the city of Boston, we were actually founded in the city of Boston over 130 years ago. The trustees is actually the largest owner of community gardens in the city of Boston. There are 56 gardens in total under the trustees' care. They're in 8 different Boston neighborhoods, including 2 of them right here in East Boston, one on Border Street, the Eagle Hill Community Garden, and then the Joe Ciampa Garden, which is actually right across from the current Piers Park. So those are spaces where folks can grow food and gather, sources of neighborhood pride, really special places in the city. So the Trustees Boston Waterfront Initiative seeks to create a network of public green open space across Boston's harbor that achieve the goals you see here. So really creating world-class destinations that support the needs of the diverse communities, increasing access to the waterfront, bringing real value to Boston's climate resiliency goals, and ultimately, all of these things are financially feasible in their creation and their long-term care as well. So we've spent time, over the last few years, really thinking and looking at a variety of sites across Boston Harbor. And we continue to pursue, several different sites as part of that vision of, again, a network of open space across the harbor. But tonight, we're really here focusing on the first official site that we're really excited to be moving forward on, which is Piers Park 3 in East Boston. Early on in the Waterfront Initiative's work, we saw potential here to achieve all of those goals that I just talked about around resiliency, world-class design, and supporting community need here at the Piers Park complex. So we started a conversation with Massport several years ago about that possibility of creating additional park space here at Piers Park 3, which you see outlined in green on the screen. So it's adjacent to the existing and certainly very well loved, Piers Park, and also next to the Piers Park Phase 2, which is being developed into additional park space by Massport.
Amy, someone put in the chat that your sound is going in and out and it's difficult to hear you.
Let me see. Give me one sec here. Wonder if that is any better. I'm realizing that I may not have selected my channel properly to start with, and that might have been part of the problem.
Amy, I think I'm seeing the wrong window. I'm seeing the slides and not the presentation view.
Weird. I don't know why it's doing that. Is it better now?
There it is.
All right. Okay, hopefully that is better for folks with the sound. I apologize. So again, we, after a couple of years really of conversation with Massport about the potential to build a park here, we were really excited to be designated officially as the developers for Piers Park Phase 3 in 2020, and really launched the community design phase for the park late in 2020, and it's continuing throughout this year. So we're still really at the kind of the beginning relatively of the design phase, a process that really started with thinking pretty broadly about design and talking with the community about concerns and needs. And the design will continue to be, kind of evolving and narrow down with, engineers and programming conversations and community review throughout much of this year. And then go on to be documented for construction. And, so you see the timeline here. Engagement and community outreach will really be happening throughout this whole process. But again, we're really at the phase now where we're heavily focused on that piece so that we can make sure everything we're hearing from folks has a chance to inform the design, since that's really the place we are now in the timeline. Just a quick note, again, like I mentioned, this is actually, I'm going to pass it over to Gabriella to talk us through these next few pieces.
Yeah, so like Amy said, our main focus right now has been outreach and engagement, making sure that we are listening to what the community wants and envisions at Piers Park 3, and making sure that we're having those meaningful conversations with everyone to make sure that their voices are heard and that we have that voice jotted down somewhere. So we've had a community survey out for the last couple of months. We have over 800 survey responses, both in English and Spanish. And we're really happy that a lot of you have started sharing what you envision at the park. We're still gathering feedback. So if you haven't filled out their survey, we'll be sure to put it in the link so that you can fill it out. And really, we're just using these responses to, make sure that the design that we have for Piers Park 3 reflects what the community wants, and make sure that we're incorporating all of that aspect. And tonight, we're really excited to kick off the first meeting out of the 3 that we're hosting this month to discuss programming for the future Piers Park 3. And so we're really excited to hear what community members envision, what both for tonight for art and cultural programming, hear what Veronica has to say given her expertise in art and cultural programming, and just really get to hear about what everyone wants to say. So I guess we can start having our conversation with Veronica.
Hello, everyone. For me, it's an honor and a pleasure to be here at this meeting with the trustees and, just feel that it's our part to participate by doing that, to make sure that everybody in East Boston have the opportunity and have a say on this process. And I'm so happy to be part of it. And so as you know me, I'm Veronica Robles. I've been doing arts and culture programming for the past 22 plus years in East Boston, Chelsea, and surrounding cities. But in 2013, I founded Veronica Robles Cultural Center, and our mission is promoting Latino arts and cultures as engine for stronger communities and economic growth. Our vision is really to inspire and encourage community action for social change and racial equity by teaching, promoting, and celebrating the rich cultures and colors of Latin American communities in East Boston and surrounding communities. So we, with our physical space now that you can see our beautiful cultural center here in the heart of East Boston and Meridian Street, that's what I wanted to be here today on this meeting. So we always encourage community gatherings so we can create those relationships that we need beyond work and beyond, our regular activities during the day. So we all can learn about each other's culture. Of course, we focus on Latino traditional arts, but we also love to learn about other cultures. And this place is about that. It's about celebrating and sharing our cultures and our traditions and bring it out also. So part of our project is eventually be able to do more public art with our local community artists. And right now we have one that every Thursday she's here doing some art. Her name is Suri Chavez, one of our local artists. And so we would love to do more art with local artists like Suri, and also bring salsa socials, at the waterfront, and have this space where we can not only, during the summer, but also have those resources to be able to present and continue our programming during the winter, because the winter is so frustrating here sometimes that we cannot do anything outdoors. And of course, we have like places like Veronica Robles Cultural Center and Sumix and Social Center and everything, but it will be kind of nice if we would have a place, close to the water where we can also have it as an extra resource to be able to meet and gather during the winter time. So yeah, I think that will be my part. I would like to do more outreach, as you know, having an organization and have a place that we have to pay the rent and all the operations, that we have to deal with. It's been taken away from the time that I wish I had for more community outreach like in the past. But I think everything has a process. Veronica Robles Cultural Center has been serving the community like many other of our local organizations. We have to gear a little bit, our programming to support our community with food, with money, with technical, assistance. But we are so happy that we have this community here. And as I said, our expertise are arts and culture. And we have been done this for so long that we are happy to share those expertise and resources with all of you. And again, thank you. And I invite you to participate and also include your comments on how you envision this new place for us in East Boston.
Thank you, Veronica. I had two questions that I wanted to ask you. I feel like you've already given your spiel about everything you do, but I had two questions that I wanted to ask you. And then afterwards, I think we can open the floor for discussion, whether people would like to build off what Veronica says, or you just have some ideas that you want to get out. So my first question is, Veronica, I know you do so many programmings in the summer. What programs / events are the most popular in the community, or that you think have had great success in the recent years that you've done them?
Performances. Training the youth to do their own performances in our communities. I think that's the most successful programming that we offer, and that is the most popular. I noticed through the years that we train the youth here, So we teach them their cultures and how to celebrate it. I call it, we dance our cultures with the beautiful customs and creating art, and then bring it out to the community, but also very participatory. So our own youth, they learn to facilitate these programs, and then they go out and teach other youth or families to do it. We do it with our Mexican street corn bike, which is, eating the corn on the cup, but not only eating it, but wearing it. So that's, I think, one of the most successful aspects of our organization, that we are the only organization when you can really live your culture and the cultures that represent our Latino community here in the city. And it's successful. Like before, I thought it wasn't popular, because people would say, oh, no, but you're planning to do folklorico. What is that? What that word means? Like just say the word folklorico was something like kind of another language. So we have to educate the community about the word so they can explain the whole context of the folklorico word. And now we are happy that we have come to this position where people are now familiar with folklorico. That means cultural dance and other art activities, bringing those traditions to life and passing those on, right? And not just about what you see, but how do you assimilate these cultures and make it your own, and use it as a resource, as an asset to build up in your community, to make your community better. So the answer to your question will be that the most popular of our programs are teaching, as our motto says, teaching, promoting, and celebrate our cultures.
Thank you. That was a great response. And I love the elote stands. I think those are my favorite parts of the summer. My other question was, I know you've seen the design for Piers Park 3, and we talked briefly about it, but given the design right now, what opportunities do you see for a new park, or what do you think should be implemented that could give us new opportunities to do more programming there?
Well,
that would either expand what you do or have the possibility of doing something new.
Yeah, I love the design. As I told you the first time, it's only that I would love to see like a this hard shell kind of stage where it's covered when any performance is showing. We have that space where even if we have a little rain, it's the performance doesn't affect. People can always have their tent or their umbrella. And also opportunity for vendors, creative entrepreneurs, like not only us, but we have the popsicles, and we have the coffee mug, and we have the elote. So we have other entrepreneurs in the city that it would be great if they have, because this is another culinary arts experience that East Boston has. And I would love to see these creative entrepreneurship spots where we have our local people selling their arts and their crafts, and another space to create art for visual artists too, with all the resources that they need for storing, maybe storing their, because for us in the future, like when we created the sculpture of the dancers for to celebrate the lives of our youth that passed away, it was such a hard work for us, bringing everything to the park and then bring it back to the cultural center. It was just a hassle, all the logistics, that I even broke my hand. If you can see here, I have a plague inside because I broke my hand, my wrist. And I think if we could have an area, I don't know, it's just like blowing my mind, but this is the time when we all have to speak out. We don't know if everything is going to happen, but the most important thing is that we speak out.
The sky's the limit. I'd like to say that.
Never know listening and how much money we have.
Thank you, Veronica. Thank you for answering my 2 questions. I know we have some hands raised, so we can definitely get started. Heather, I saw that your hand was up first, so what do you have to share? You're on mute, Heather. There.
Oh, good. So, no, I just wanted to point out that the Veronica Robles Cultural Center is also home to many of our community-wide traditions that we have. We have Fiesta Navidad, Tres Reyes, we have Dia de Muertes, we have the ofrenda for the whole community. We have lessons for families for free, not just the lessons for children's, but it'll be a lesson community-wide. Everybody can come and do a salsa lesson. We have visiting people from all over. There's like artists come and do things or give lessons or talks. We actually had an activist from Guatemala who works with children that live in the street come and do a program there. Veronica Robles Cultural Center is responsible for a lot of the things community-wide. It's not just the people that choose to sign their kids up and commit to dance, but a lot of these things are open to everybody and they're wildly popular. They're hugely popular. I mean, you go to the Fiesta Navidad and you'll see everybody that you've known for the past 15 years at this party. So there's a lot of things that bring the whole community together. I'm excited that Veronica is vested in this because she really has a way, and the Veronica Robles Cultural Center, I don't mean to keep saying Veronica, it's everybody at the Veronica Robles Cultural Center, a way to bring us all together. And I think that's like really important. I think that people get so busy and life is so hectic and difficult lately that having things where we can celebrate each other and honor the cultures. I mean, there are many different Latino cultures in East Boston. So, I mean, it's not just a club for Salvadorian, it's not just a Colombian dance school, it's everything for everybody.
Yeah, thank you very much. And Heather, there's cross culture and connection because many of our families are bicultural.
Bipolar.
Bipolar. Thank you for highlighting that. It's a community that brings people together, like everybody is welcome and everybody actually has an opportunity. We serve over 20,000 people year round, not only with the events that we host here, but with the reach out that we have with the performances, and everybody has the opportunity to, you don't have to speak Spanish, you don't have to even speak, I mean, you just have to participate.
Thank you, Heather, and thank you, Veronica. Now moving on to Jillian. It's so nice to see you. It's been a while.
Yes, well, we've all been sequestered in our homes for all this time. I'd like to second the idea of having a shell, an acoustic shell, because I think that will expand the number of types of music that you'll be able to have. And second, I would like to suggest that you plan to have a screen, because that will mean not just movies, but videos and all kinds of things of that nature. And it will have to be set up each time. I don't imagine that it will be something that you can install, although if you have a shell, theoretically, you could install it as part of the stage. So if you have to bring it every time, you're going to have to finance the setting up of the screen. So you need to take that into account for the planning.
Yeah, thank you.
Realize that,
just to actually add on to that, Jillian, what sort of events do you see taking place with the screen? Is that something you're like sort of a...
I'm an orchestral conductor and my specialty is music for silent films. So I could see a performance of Way Down East, which is a film about New England. It was done in 1920 with full orchestra. But if that's too expensive, a 10-piece orchestra also. But then you would also have to figure out not only the shell, but amplification. Again, another expense you need to plan for.
Great, Jill. Those are great suggestions. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I actually didn't know that about you. So that was great to hear. Does anyone else have any ideas, comments to share about maybe expanding some of what we see Veronica do, or new programming that you think you want to share? Like we said, no bad ideas, the sky's the limit. We really want to hear what everyone has to share.
Maybe to get people's imaginations jogging, also quickly share the design currently as it stands, which I don't think we did earlier, and that might help folks to just think about the space again as the design is now, and like we mentioned, it's still evolving. Of course, it takes me all the way back here, but it's still going to evolve as we hear more feedback. So
I have Suri here, Amy. She wants to share her ideas too.
Yeah.
Suri.
Go for it.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
Hello, everyone. I'm Suri Chavez, artist from Galeria de Chuy. And I think one good idea will be murals. And we can give another artist opportunity to paint around Eastie. And if we don't have the space to paint walls, we can incorporate like plywood that we can be changing for different season of the year. And that's my idea.
Bravo. Thank you, Suri.
You're welcome.
Looking at this plan makes me realize that if you're going to have a screen, you need to have good sight lines, and all those trees, you have to, however, put it someplace where people could actually see it.
right, I think that currently the way that we're thinking, at least about this lawn here, is that it's sort of what's the word for it, like terraced, I guess, maybe, so that you can sit, if you're at the top here, you're farther up and it goes down, slopes down, so that it's almost like a natural amphitheater. So if we're thinking about somewhere to put a performance space, perhaps that's where we think about altering this spot a little bit, so it's sort of a natural amphitheater type of space.
Yeah, I love your idea, Suri. I think definitely murals are beautiful. We definitely are missing some in East Boston. So any way that we can incorporate visual arts, that would be great. Thank you for your idea. Charissa? Charissa, I know you said you had a comment and a question. I don't know if you wanted to speak up right now or just put it in the chat. Or if you're speaking, I at least can't hear you. I don't know if anyone else is hearing anything.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Can you hear me at all?
Yes, I can hear you right now.
Okay.
Actually, that's a lie. Your audio's like cutting out.
Sorry about that. Do you guys hear anything I just said?
Just you asking if we can hear you. Sounds good. Definitely put it in the chat, and then one of us.
I'll put it in the chat.
Yeah.
I guess in the meantime, just to another sort of question to throw out there for folks. So we've talked about some of the really awesome resources that currently exist in East Boston in terms of arts and cultural programming, and wondering if anyone has ideas to share of things that maybe like that they think are missing currently, or things we could add that aren't being done already, in addition to the things that are working really well that are already in the neighborhood.
Yeah, and I think Charissa's comment definitely kind of incorporates to the question you just asked, Amy, because she said she wanted to mention that it would be great to design a park that has features that can be used in the winter, so that we can use the park all year and have performing during the winter instead of just thinking it as a summer park. And I definitely think Veronica mentioned something along those lines about thinking of programming all year. So that'll be great to start thinking about and seeing what we could do with that. But I know Reina has a question, so if you want to share it, feel free.
Hola, ¿me escuchan?
Sí.
A mí me gustaría también que se incluyera un Wi-Fi para llevar a estudiar a los niños. A veces ellos están aburridos en casa y no hay un Wi-Fi. Eso sería excelente en el parque.
I can share it back in English. She was just suggesting having some type of like Wi-Fi or a way to connect online, because she says sometimes kids obviously get tired of doing online school, or do something in like be able to do outdoors, which I definitely think we heard in the March meeting about how we can incorporate schools and education into our programming. So that's a great idea, Reina. Muchas gracias.
No, gracias a ustedes.
Heather just put a question. Will the rules be different than they are in other Massport parks, like the hours, for example?
Yeah, I'll just jump in and say that I know that most of those kind of like logistics we're still working with Massport on, as we kind of come to, you know, a series of different agreements as this process continues. But we're definitely, again, in the phase now where we're here, you know, happy to hear feedback from folks about, you know, if there's specific, you know, thoughts and feelings and suggestions about those types of things, as we work through, you know, agreement with Massport on how, you know, how those pieces in terms of like operations will work out when the park is here.
Jillian, you have another question?
Yes, I'm wondering who's going to run the park, because frankly, the way Massport has been running the parks is not very favorable. It's been not, it has made it seem as though the parks are there to look beautiful and not be used. And I would hate to see this park used, have the same problem. So I would suggest that you control the body that is in charge of running the park, that it not be the same people that have run Piers 1 and 2.
Yeah, I think, you know, I know for the trustees as you know, managers of lots of different park spaces across the state, it's important to us to definitely be, you know, to be leading and managing in terms of, you know, programming. I think some of those specifics on operations and things like that, we're still working out with Massport, but definitely envision it being, you know, that it will feel like a trustee's property, and that we're, you know, we're maintaining it and we're programming it.
Just the way that you've gone about soliciting community response in this way is so totally different than the way Piers 1 and 2 are being run. So it already feels very different, and I would encourage you to continue along that line.
We're excited to be able to come out and ask folks to share their, you know, their thoughts and opinions, and be able to really
Thank you, Judy. Amy, I also think, because I've been doing performances and putting together, producing shows for so many years, and every year is so different, and every year is something that I thought I knew, and with the permits and everything. So I think we will have to come together with the city and create procedures that are clear and exact, that doesn't change along the way, you know, and every time somebody wants to do something in the park, we can have a handbook, so where they have step A to C, because it really is a hassle trying to figure it out, create and putting together an event in any public park in Boston. It's just a pain. So I think it will be one thing to consider, you know, as part of the project, to have a procedures for park permits and what they need and everything, so they can plan in advance. And so we don't have to struggle with timing and deadlines, and so that way we all have the opportunity. If you miss it, you miss it, because everything is here, you know, and it's open to everyone, it's available to everyone, and it's clear, and there's no excuses because I decided to do one thing last minute, right?
Yeah, that's a great point. And that's definitely something we've heard from other folks too, just that having a clear process to permit for, you know, partner programs would definitely be something folks are interested in seeing, so that it's a streamlined and clear process for everyone, for sure.
Sandra asked, will there be a bike path?
I think the current design definitely has paths in it. I think in terms of whether it's biking, walking, jogging. I think again, that's, you know, something we're gathering feedback on, what people are looking to do in the park. And so we'll write down I assume that you would like there to be bikes, but that might be an assumption. But feel free to add anything to that in the chat there, if that's something that you think would be, you know, nice to be able to do.
Heather? You're on mute, Heather.
I am muted because I'm in a noisy neighborhood here in East Boston. No, I was thinking about what Veronica was talking about with performances and things. And I was thinking about, you know, not only like year round, but especially in the summer months. You know, we're in a neighborhood with so little open space and so little backyards, and we don't have like other performance venues to be outside. It would be nice if this park could be open later in the evening, because it would give people somewhere to go. You know, especially in a heat island neighborhood, to be able to go out to a waterfront park and maybe hear some music or something. I'm not saying be open all night, but it would be nice to to have something open to say like 10 o'clock. I'm not saying like after the bars close, everybody should be out there, but someplace where we could enjoy, you know, when it cools off in the day, it would be really nice to be able to enjoy an evening performance or something, or an activity, a yoga or something outside.
Yeah, thanks for that.
Yeah, thank you. I just wanted to throw in another question. I think Amy might have asked it, but the question would be, what is missing locally? I know we've talked a lot about different types of programming that Veronica runs, some ideas of what we would like to expand, but what do we think is missing locally? And I think, Heather, you just pointed something out, like there's not that much programming later in the evenings, which is a time that most families do have availability to enjoy the green space. So floor's open if anyone wants to answer that question or share any other ideas based on what we've been discussing.
Can I share something?
Yeah.
Yeah, another idea that I have to involve the community will be doing 3D sculptures.
3D sculptures.
And we can involve the community to paint the concrete, the street, or for example, Mothers Out Front did 3D here in East Boston Square, and we built the word aire, and then we fill with a lot of plants. So that was amazing idea because the community was involved, and yeah.
3D art.
3D art, yeah.
I love that. I think we have, Reina may have her hand raised again too, if you want to.
Reina, ¿tiene otra pregunta o todavía tiene la mano de la última pregunta que hizo?
Perdón, sí, ha quedado levantada la mano. No, disculpen, no tengo otra pregunta.
Okay, no se preocupe. It was an accident. I do see a comment from Jenna who said, hi, everyone. I know dogs are not allowed in any Massport Park, Piers Park. It would be nice to have a dedicated dog walk separated by landscape, creating a safe space for dogs to also access the waterfront if possible, almost an extension of the existing greenway, but cleaner.
Okay, we'll also take note of that suggestion, separate space for dogs to access the water. I actually had sort of a follow-up question for Sharissa or anyone who wants to jump in on it, but just thinking about winter programming and especially arts and cultural programming in the winter, if anyone has ideas of what that might look like.
Well, I think Heather mentioned music, like imagine not only like during the winter time, but after hours, like after 6, we can have a place where once, you know, once a week or a couple of weeks during the week, I mean, a couple of days during the week, evenings, we can come and chill out, especially, you know, and the same thing during the winter, that some people don't want to go to bars or stuff, but it would be so nice to have this park there for us to offer these different opportunities for entertaining the family, and the working couples that have children, maybe they just go put kids to sleep and just go out for a walk and listen to some nice music from different genres, you know.
Just wanted to point out, I know Sandra said that she doesn't have the icon option to raise her hand. Sandra, if you want to share something, you can definitely share it right now. If not, feel free to put it in the chat.
I do.
Oh, there you go.
Thank you. Well, I wanted to add to what I said earlier in terms of the bikes. You know, if there would be a trail to ride our bikes in. And also I saw someone writing about dogs. If we could bring our dogs. I'm someone that has a dog too. And I would love to, you know, be able to bring my dog and enjoy the open space with my dog. And I think there are a lot of families here who have a dog as well. So I think it would be wonderful if we could. And also access to the Piers Park Sailing Center. Are you going to work with them in expanding that program, which is a wonderful program? My kids grew up in that program. And I think it should be part of this new edition of Piers Park 3.
So thank you for sharing that. Sneak peek, we're going to host a recreational programming conversation with them next week. So we're already in conversation with Piers Park Sailing Center to see what would programming look like. So feel free to join next week's conversation and hear from them. But we're definitely already having those conversations with Piers Park Sailing Center. You know, they're a great organization in the community, and we definitely want to continue supporting that programming. And then I think that was my point. And then I know Jenna shared some other thoughts in the chat. Welcome. I see that you said it's your first time here. Welcome. We're really excited to have you here. And then she shared seeing ice skating, winter arts market, and hot cocoa shops. So that's more towards the winter programming at Piers Park.
I saw Vidya pose a question to the group earlier that I think would be interesting to get people's take on. Any favorite bands we might want to invite in?
You too.
You know what, there's a lot. I would like, as a cultural center, I think we have a lot of great musicians locally, not only like in English, but in Spanish. So I think it will start fostering this opportunity for them to gather together, to just, you know, do some jamming and creating their own music, and having this place to be able to showcase their work or their rehearsal work. I think it will be great. I mean, keeping it local, and if we have any resource with money, give it to them, to local performers, local artists, and this, in fact, creating this opportunity to encourage them, to offer a stipend, to put together the battle of the bands or something like that. You know, we need those. I also think that we need to start a tradition that involves everybody. I just love traditions, because traditions are things that pass, you know, through generation, and sometimes it change, but the actual event or the actual tradition continues, maybe change a little bit, but I will love to see all of us together creating a tradition for East Boston, where everybody has the opportunity to participate. Make sure that we put the word out, we have enough time so we can connect everyone and let them know. If they don't want to participate, well, that will be their you know, their saying. But just right now with the vaccine, everybody's participating. There's no excuses to say I'm not vaccinated. If you're not vaccinated, it's because you don't want to. So I think we have to go to that point where we all connect together and create this opportunity where everybody participate, creating a tradition in East Boston. And I think this park could be one opportunity to connect us all and make sure that everybody knows that we are working on that project, and this will be everybody's project.
I think Zoomix, it's a great music program that we have in East Boston as well. Just as, you know, good and wonderful as Veronica Robles Cultural Center. And I think between the two, we have plenty of talented young kids that can put up a wonderful show for us. So I would love to see that happen. You know, Veronica and Madeline, you know, partnering and teaming up to bring your children together. And it would be wonderful.
Yeah, for sure. I definitely agree. We've already also started those conversations with Zoomix. Unfortunately, they weren't able to be here tonight, but we definitely already connected with them, given they're amazing, like you said, with performing arts. And so definitely already thinking about that. And I would love to see us partner with both Veronica and Madeline, given all of their amazing work. And just a quick plug, Zoomix will have their concerts back at Piers Park 1 this summer, in case you didn't know. I'm looking forward to that. So you can catch me there this summer. And then Judy shared, I'm a senior and would like to have a way to comfortably enjoy the space by maybe having scooters or mobile chairs to rent to get around.
I'm wondering if anyone has other ideas of either local organizations or maybe organizations in other parts of the city who they think would also, you know, be folks that we should talk to about, you know, partnering or about, you know, what their interest might be in doing, you know, arts or cultural programming in the park space.
I'm sure you have done, or if not, you should contact Harbor Keepers and Easty Farm. They should be definitely in this conversation because they also have amazing programming for our kids. Maverick Landing, social services, the schools. Sandra, help me, Heather.
K-School, I think, is very open to doing community partnerships and like sharing information, and they're pretty dynamic there. The person who is the community outreach person, Diana, she would be open to a conversation, I'm sure, and want to offer something up. And they actually do a lot of enrichment at that school with outside partners already. And they've really been like a joy to work with. Excel Academy, I think I talked to Gabriella about trying to get some more. They've got 3 middle schools and the biggest high school here, or not the biggest high school, but the high school that our kids go to on the Greenway. They like to do outside partnerships, and I'm sure they also have kids that perform older kids, teens. They're starting an environmental club, which I think would be great. They would love to be plugged in with the trustees. I know some of the kids that were in my resiliency program at Excel Academy went on to become waterfront ambassadors with the trustees. So, I mean, it all kind of comes around. We all just kind of like work together, and then everybody gets what they need, and we all, but yeah, those are some of the other things that could be reached out to. I know a lot of organizations are like already involved, already vested, or they're working on something else.
Yeah, and I was going to add garden, nice garden, like flowers around. And I think Eastie Farm would have great ideas for that. Kanan is incredible in anything that has to do with plants. So I think he would, like you said, Veronica, he should be part of this conversation. But I think it would be nice if we had flowers that invite butterflies and birds, or maybe having like bird houses in some areas also. Yeah.
I was just thinking like what's going on tonight, like Eastie Farm tonight has potluck supper and then the comedy show in the Eastie Farm. One of the drawbacks there is there's no restroom facilities. So it's kind of hard if you're there for dinner, you're having something to drink, then you're there for a show. Are there restroom facilities in the new park?
Yeah, that's a great question. We currently don't have any like facilities structures in the design. I know that's sort of an ongoing conversation with the design for phase 2 in terms of facilities there, you know, adding facilities to those that exist currently in Piers Park. So that's definitely something we're thinking about, making sure that there's enough, you know, enough facilities for all three
Right,
parks.
or have them be open during times when there would be programming. I'm just thinking like if there was a concert that went into the evening or a dance thing, just because we don't have the facilities doesn't mean that they're not needed. And I mean, Amy, on in McConnell Park before there was facilities there, it doesn't mean that it's not going to happen. Yeah, it's something that would encourage people to come like for a couple hours for an event, I think.
Right. No, definitely need to have something there so that we can, you know, yeah, host programs and events, and folks don't have to make an emergency run back home.
Yeah, agree with everything that's been said. I did want to point out 2 things. One, we are in conversation with the Harbor Keepers and Eastie Farm to see what their thoughts are in programming in general. So those conversations are already ongoing. And like you said, they're great organizations that are doing really amazing work, and we're really happy to be hearing from them. And I did want to plug, I think he just left, but Alex from the Piers Park Sailing Center was here. I didn't know, but we could have definitely plugged him in earlier. But like I said, we're already having those conversations with community organizations, and I'm really happy that most of you are pointing them out because they are doing amazing work. And if you think of any other organization, please let us know.
And again, I think we mentioned earlier, but in addition to next week's meeting focusing more on recreational programming, we'll also be having a 3rd meeting the following week on the 30th to talk more specifically about climate programming and educational programming as well. And I think we can, if we haven't already, we can drop a link in the chat there for folks to, you know, if you're interested in joining for those conversations as well, also being co-hosted by awesome local partners. To dig in more specifically to those kind of programming areas on those nights.
Yeah, and if anyone has something to share that hasn't been said. Oh, Jillian, you have your hand raised. Go for it.
Yes, have we been in contact with the ICA? They have a presence, and they may have some ideas also about what you might plan.
Yeah, we've had conversations with the ICA a couple months ago, actually. But yeah, lots of opportunities for, you know, cross-pollinating events, but also very interested in water transportation and how we get folks from other parts of the city to Piers Park. And so I think that's another interesting piece of the conversation for sure.
I'd like to also recommend the Radius Ensemble, which is a a chamber music group that works out of Cambridge. Absolutely top notch. Used to doing public programming as well.
Yeah, we also, as part of our community, we have amazing classical musicians here in Eastie. And I think it would be great to have a showcase space for them. Yeah, classical music. I would love to see a classical music night, you know, like a regular thing in Eastie too. I love that tradition too. And also, I just wanted to add up that thank you so much, because, you know, as a Latina, as an immigrant, as a ad administrator, although I know people and I've been working so many years here, this is a time that I'm really, because people, you know, I noticed that I've been supporting everything, but I don't get called when the planning starts, you know. I always been called for when everything is done. Like I have no saying, and you know, until everything is done. And so with the pandemic, I came to realize that, and I'm like, why? I'm part of this community. I've been doing this work for so many years, most of my adulthood, because I started volunteering to do this when I was 19 years old. And I've been fully participating in the life, arts and cultural life, and making sure that our communities are represented as an alternative for everybody to enjoy. And this is the very first time that I really feel that I've been invited to the early stage of a planning, and to invite my community also to be part of it. So I really appreciate the trustees and Gabriela and Amy and Nick and everybody there for the opportunity to host this meeting together. And I'm sure that I'm making sure that everybody knows about this project, and thank you all for attending this evening too. I don't know if you received this last minute or whatever, but thank you for joining us.
Oh, really? Thank you, Veronica. One, for all the programming that you're doing and making great traditions in our community, but two, also joining us and helping us in our design. You know, as I said, like I really want, as someone from East Boston that's working on this project, I really want this project to reflect the community, and our community is so multicultural, diverse, and I definitely think having everyone involved is really important. And I'm so happy that all of you joined us tonight for this conversation. And I loved hearing everyone, because everyone has amazing expertise. Like Jillian, I didn't know you are a great expertise for this.
Yeah, and I just want to just sort of tack on that, again, like if folks who you think maybe are interested in this conversation who weren't able to join us tonight, we're always, happy to hear, suggestions, ideas, questions, anything like that, outside of the meetings too, and we'll put contact information in the chat as well. And like I mentioned, we do have a couple more meetings that we're hosting in the next few weeks to keep talking about programs. And really throughout this year, as we keep working on the design, we'll have more opportunities for folks to engage. So please do reach out to us. If you think of a bright idea that you didn't share, while we're on the call tonight as well, the door doesn't close when the meeting ends, and we're happy to keep hearing from you, and we hope we will.
Could you have it open to the usage of frisbees and balls? Because the one that we have right now, we can't. You can only have bubbles. So could it be friendly to that, so that we can have more fun and really enjoy it to the fullest?
Yeah, definitely open to activities like that in the park for sure. Good to hear that feedback.
I guess one more thing I would like to add. So I have a soup kitchen. I work with our homeless and, folks who are suffering from substance use, right? I I'm not sure. I mean, I guess my question would be, this park is going to be open to everyone, right? It's not going to reject anyone, no matter how dirty or clean they look, or how, under the influence they might be, that it will be open to the public. These guys won't be rejected from being able to access this park, right?
Yeah, definitely, hoping this is a community resource for everyone. Definitely a public park open to all. And thank you for the work that you do with the community.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Just a final word of thanks. We really appreciate everyone's feedback and taking the time this evening and sticking with us. So we look forward, we'll be talking with Alex and some folks from the YMCA next week, and hope to see you all there. Thanks again.
Thanks, everyone. So nice to see you all.
Thank you for joining us. And like Amy said, if you have any questions or anything else you want to talk about, feel free to reach out to us. The door doesn't close tonight.
Thank you, everyone. Stay on the look for the V-Rocks outdoor activities this summer.
Thank you, guys. Don't forget to keep looking out for your senior citizens.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right. God bless.
God bless.